So today's presentation is about helpful tips to support your scholars using Swun Math. Now, Swun Math in the classroom is one way, Swun Math at home is a whole other ball game. And that's where we're gonna go ahead and share a lot of different tips and clues and things that are gonna help you support your kid at home. So in order for us to be successful in tonight's workshop, okay, we're going to discuss practical parent tips. Now, please, consider some of these tips as best practices. As both, I am also a parent myself, and my students are also part of a Swun Math school district. So there's a lot of information and information that comes in not only as a math coach but also as a Swun Math parent as well. Please know that anything that I share with you guys is just a suggestion. It is not a requirement, and you are free to take whatever you like from this presentation and implement it into your home. Whatever you don't like, you can simply just brush off and maybe consider for a future date, okay? I'm also going to share with you guys some Swun Math resources that are available to you guys for anybody who is a smartphone user or has a tablet at home. We have an app that is through Swun Math that is free until next week. We'll talk more about that in a few minutes. We're gonna go ahead and just lead off with just parent tip number one, a parent tip from parent to parent, because I am a parent. I have 5 daughters, 3 of which are in a Swun Math school district. We set up a daily routine for your students, and a daily routine is a predictable way so that your scholar knows what's going to happen each and every day. Now, the schedule that I share with you here is the exact schedule that I use with my own personal kids. Homework is done every single day for about 30 minutes because through Swun Math, we provide your scholars with about 6 problems for homework. And those 6, excuse me, those 6 problems should not take no more than about 30 minutes long. If they're taking longer than 30 minutes, then there is some kind of disconnect between what they're learning in school and what they're bringing home. At which point, then we'll discuss later on what are some tips to help your scholars complete their homework assignments within that allotted amount of time. On top of that homework assignment, it is imperative that we provide our scholars with opportunities to be able to fill in some foundational gaps that they may have acquired over the last year and a half through distance learning. We do understand that your scholars were at home for about, a good, about 16 months per se, maybe less than that. They were at home, learning from home, and just adjusting to learning from a computer. With them being at home, your students may not have acquired all the skills that were going to provide a solid foundation that they were going to use for now content learning in the school year. A lot of that knowledge that they didn't acquire includes math facts. I'm talking about addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Those 4 operations are essential for your scholars to be successful in kindergarten through middle school. That foundational skill is essential for your scholars to practice on a daily basis until they can add, subtract, multiply, and divide single digits with through their memory. One suggestion that I give here is maybe spending 3 days a week, 30 minutes extra on top of their homework, just practicing some of those foundational skills, whether it's through the use of flashcards, through the use of an app, through the use of something, providing that opportunity for your students to just refine those skills that are going to essentially pay dividends in the long run. I know myself as a parent, I have one of my students, one of my kids is practicing multiplication facts every day. One of my kids is practicing addition and subtraction facts every day. And one of my kids is practicing division facts every day. It's just something that I do myself as a parent to make sure that my kids can go ahead and just refill in some of those gaps that they picked up over the year and a half that they were at home learning through distance learning. The next suggestion that I want to give is, be able to provide a place and time at home to do for homework. We all know that our space at home is very limited sometimes. We may not have a lot of space for our scholars to be able to do their homework, but just some suggestions on how to make an environment that's going to be conducive to the best amount of learning. It includes a quiet room. If you do have a quiet room at home where your student can sit down, do their homework quietly, okay? Provide them maybe a desk or a table. Maybe it's a dinner table at some point for some parents. Maybe it's a desk in somebody's room. Maybe it's their own bedroom. Whatever it is, as long as it's quiet, so they can concentrate on their work. One thing that comes up, and it's only been a need, over the last year or so, is having a strong internet connection. Because through Swun Math, some of our teachers are still sharing a lot of work through the Google Classroom or through some kind of learning management system. It's important that they have a strong internet connection wherever they are. So if you have to maybe move the router, your internet router to that place, or moving your scholar to an area that is in close proximity to the internet router, that way they have an optimum internet connection so that they can watch all of the resources that are available to them through Swun Math. The next parent tip, and this third parent tip is, something that is kind of a lost art. It depends on how you do this, right? Go over your students' assignments with them and check their work when it's complete. Now, we do know that you guys may not understand their homework assignment because some of the stuff is tough, right? You go to a fifth grade classroom or fifth grade or sixth grade student, they come with multiplying, dividing fractions, and there's these crazy strategies that are demanded by the state of California, right? And you're sitting there asking, well, how do I do this? In my day, we did it this way, right? And you have your own strategy and skills on how you did the computation process. But nowadays, we're asking scholars to not only just do computation, but they're also expected to dive deeper into the understanding of these concepts. So the best thing that you can do is, reach out to your student's teacher. Say, hey, Mr. or Mrs. whatever their name is there a way that you can provide me with a link to the Swan lesson video for that homework assignment? Because all of the homework assignments for every lesson that your student is doing, there is a video that is going to showcase that concept and that skill and that lesson through the lens of a math coach. So you'll have an actual math coach teaching the lesson to your scholars. Now, as a parent, if I don't know how to support that skill, I can watch that video and then try to emulate some of the things that I see there so I can help my kid. Or we can watch it together, talk about the video, talk about the homework, and see how we can make those connections. If you are a Spanish speaker and you can only speak Spanish, we also have some Spanish videos that are available to you guys that you can watch, but those videos are not as interactive as the English videos that you see through the avatars that are created through Swun Math. Some of you, if anybody has any questions, please type it into the chat. I saw a parent raise their hand. Please type it into the chat, and we have a moderator, Mr. Oliver. He will be able to answer those questions for you. If there's a need for me to stop and repeat or stop and clarify anything, I invite the moderator or Mr. Ediberto to please stop me and let me ask me whatever I need to clarify. All right, so we left off on, if you don't know how to support your scholar on their homework assignments, it's good for you to ask your teacher for those videos. The next tip, and this tip comes straight from the classroom, okay? And the need for this came because when you're at home, right, during distance learning, your scholars, your students, they didn't have anybody to have math conversations with, right? They have basically the computer. They might have had a math buddy, right? We have our math buddy here. Whenever I teach a primary lesson, I have my math buddy here that I have conversations with, which is my stuffed animal. But for the most part, there isn't anybody there that's engaging with them, right? This is where you come in as a parent. where you can talk to your child about math and ask math questions. The great thing about this is because your scholars are learning things every single day and they're solidifying learning every single day, they're going to have always something new to tell you every single day. So some suggestions are, ask some very specific questions. And by specific questions, I mean like just ask, what are the steps to solve these problems? Right? If they can tell you how to solve a problem step by step by step, that means that they really own that information and they're able to relay that to you. Now, what that means is your children are no longer students. Now they are the teacher. Now they're teaching you how to do that math. That means that they really understand that topic. So ask that question. What are the steps to solve this problem? Or what strategy did you use to solve today's work? A good one is, how do you know your answer is correct? Now, sometimes as parents, we like to ask our teachers, our students, how was your day at school? Yeah, did you like today? Did you have a good time today? Right? We ask questions that are yes or no questions, and these questions sometimes don't allow our scholars or our students to then explain or articulate, and that's what we want to get back towards. From now on, as a math coach, our goal is to help your teachers to be able to help your students to articulate, to speak, to let that voice out and really talk about math. So some of that can be, reinforced at home by asking some of these specific questions. Now, these three questions here are not the only questions you can ask, but these are three suggestions in case you're having difficulty, pulling some information out of your kid. I know myself, for example, my girlfriend and I, when we ask our kids, and she asks a question, "How was school today?" They'll say good, right? We really can't gauge what good means. So I step in and say, you know what did you learn today? What strategy did you use to solve today's work? And then you start the conversation, and the conversation just it starts from there, and it just kind of rolls. And all of our kids, we end up having hour-long conversations about math, and that's the goal, is to get our scholars just sharing the information about what they learned in class, so then they begin to solidify that content into their minds. Because if they don't get it out, they're not going to be able to share all the wonderful wealth of knowledge that they learned. So ask specific questions. Don't ask your questions that are yes or no. Try to find ways that you can keep your kids talking, right? Have them talk and talk and talk. Try not to cut them off. Allow them to just share everything they know. And I guarantee you it's going to make their learning a lot better. One thing that is very difficult nowadays is limiting screen time. We do know that your students are used to being in front of a computer. They're used to learning from a mobile device. But when that device is done, right, when school is done, we're going to try to limit that exposure to that being in front of a screen, right? So we're going to go ahead and cut off the video games. We're going to cut off the television screen. We're going to go back to them being kids, possibly being outdoors and getting some exercise, going outdoors and doing some outdoor activities as a family. Because believe it or not, that's going to help them be better students. That's going to help them be more physically better able to prepare for being back in the classroom. But if you insist on them being at home and doing some more academic activities that are not in front of a computer screen, well, here are some suggestions for you. You can use flashcards to practice math facts. So, for example, if you want your scholars to learn how to add, then you can bring flashcards for them to be able to add accurately, or multiplication flashcards or subtraction flashcards. You could also take opportunities to go travel to take trips as a family and go to grocery stores or go shopping, and then practice adding and subtracting with um, some of those items that you're going to buy. Right? They can practice estimating. They can practice doing specific adding, and you can really just test their ability to be able to bring math into the real world. The last thing that you can do, let's say you're a parent like me. I spend most of my weekends driving to football games, driving to softball games, driving to practices. And I'm on the road, 5, 6 hours a weekend. Then you can practice doing your single digit computation while driving. You can say, hey, everybody, what is 3 times 5? And then you quiz your kids, and you can just have that opportunity to practice your math facts as you're driving. You can take any opportunity that is not in front of a screen to be able to bring some math knowledge to your scholars. For those of you who have students that are in the primary, that's kindergarten, first grade, second grade, and your students are still learning how to add and subtract with manipulatives, meaning something tangible, something they can touch, hands-on manipulatives. Here are some things that you can do. You can use any household items to create a baggie of manipulatives for your students to be able to use as part of their work. You can use food items like frijoles, beans. You can use a baggie of beans to help them be able to count. You can use cereal. You can use crayons. You can use anything at home. You can even use, for example, other like food items like pretzels, where you can have these baggies and help them be able to count different things. And they can use those manipulatives to complete their homework assignments. Sometimes for students, having something that is tangible for them to touch, that helps them with their math concepts, because they use those manipulatives in their classroom to be able to learn. So providing them with their own set of manipulatives at home, that's going to help bridge the classroom and home together for their learning. Okay. For more difficult work, maybe have your scholars use strategies. And those strategies include maybe drawing a picture, using place value, using some kind of model, whatever it is that the teacher is teaching them for that particular unit. You want to bring that into the classroom. So it's good for you to make sure that you're using our parent letters. When your teachers send the parent letters home, really study the parent letter so that you can know, okay, are my students using manipulatives during this unit? Are they learning new strategies during this unit? Is there any vocabulary words that I want to reinforce during this unit? And these are all things that you can do at home as well. And manipulatives are something that you can create from anything. You can have candy, cereal, beans, whatever it is you have at home. You can always put together a bag of manipulatives for your scholars to use. A tip that is something often overlooked, and like I said, I'm a parent myself. I overlook this sometimes, right? And especially because I'm a parent that was a teacher, that now I'm a coach, a teacher of teachers. I sometimes forget to just be able to read my child's reactions to possible stress. Sometimes, as a parent, it's perfectly okay for you to say, you know what, you worked on this homework assignment for an hour, just stop. Enough is enough. Sometimes the stress kind of brings your kids down. And when your kids get to a certain limit, right, they have a certain limit of tolerance of amount of work they can do before after that, they're no longer learning. At that point, they're trying to just finish without anything actually sticking here. So you want to give some brain breaks, meaning you're going to work for 15 minutes, you're going to pause, we're going to go for a walk around the neighborhood, we'll come back and finish for another 15 minutes. You're going to work for 30 minutes, you're going to pause, we're going to have dinner together, we'll come back to it after dinner. You're going to work for 15 minutes, you're going to have a little bit of snack break, and then go back on it again. Whatever it is, you got to know when enough is enough. And only you know as a parent when enough is enough. You know your child. You gave birth to them. You raised them. You know the limits that your kids have. So, once you get to that limit, stop what you're doing, give them a little break, and then come back to it afterwards. Especially because nowadays, they were at home a lot for a lot of this work. Now they're back at school. They're going to go through a process of mental fatigue. They're going to come home. They got to have some time to just give a break for their brain to be able to just reset and get back to learning. The eighth parental tip And it's something that I learned only when I was a teacher. And I do feel bad that I didn't know this when I was a parent. Because as a parent, we try to just raise our kids, and we trying to raise them correct. And as a parent, you know, I was a victim of this. I only focus on the negative, and I didn't praise my kids to do things positively. But don't forget to praise your kids. Let them know when they're doing a good job. Have patience. Let them know whenever they are doing something very well, right? Be very specific and like be like, hey, you are you are doing your math problems very quietly. I appreciate that because they allowed your sister or your brother to be able to do their math work as well. Or you can say, hey, you did your strategy very well today. You were very neat and you were very organized on your strategy. So look for little things that are going to help encourage your kid to want to continue doing that math work. Because if we focus only on the negative, it's going to make them feel very negative. But if we provide positive reinforcement, it's going to make your scholars or your students do all that positive behavior more and more and more. And, you know, it's as a parent, sometimes, you know, we allow our outside stresses to influence the way that we parent our kids. I know I'm a victim to this too. You know, I don't work, I don't live in the Sacramento area. I actually fly out to Sacramento and I fly back home. And sometimes when I fly back home, I come back and it's really late. And, you know, you allow those stresses to just build on you. And sometimes we take it out on the people that we love. But we got to remember, you know, the people that we love should deserve our positive reinforcement as well. So give those positive praise. I guarantee you, your kids are going to love it. We have plenty of resources available for you guys all to be able to, you know, be more successful in helping your scholars in math at home. Your teachers are going to be sharing with you guys parent letters. We have some lesson videos to help you guys with strategies. We have the ability to practice foundational skills with Beyond the Basic Facts. We have it both on the website and available until the end of next week for now. So if you have time at the end of this meeting, please go to your Android, you know, marketplace, go to the Apple Store, download the Swun Math website. Sorry, Swun Math application. That application is going to help your scholars practice beyond the basic facts every single day. And it's free right now. It's free. So download it now. Tell all your other parent friends to download it now because it's available until next week. After that, it's going to be available at a price, at some kind of cost. So it's free now. Take advantage that it's free right now. All right. So I'm going to take some opportunities right now, and I'm going to share some time right now with Heriberto. He's going to show you guys how to access some of the SWAN resources through your child's computers. And I'm going to share the resources that are available for you all so that you can help your kids with the homework. Heriberto, are you ready?
Sure. Let me just turn on my camera. I was trying to answer a couple questions. Many of our students right here at the top of the link has what is called the TRUSD apps portal. In this case, this is where they will log in based on their student ID and information. Each student has a certain set of assignments and grades programs based on, obviously what the teacher uses. In this case, this is what it will look like. It's different for me because I'm a staff here at the district, so I log into the account, and through the apps portal is where they'll access iReady and maybe I Imagine Learning or some of the other programs. This program is for students that are in transition kindergarten through high school. We do want to say that students that are in kindergarten through eighth grade will be using the workbook. So this is what it looks like when they access the TRUSD Students App Portal. In this case, this is where they'll access, let's say, Google Classrooms and many of the assignments there. Many of the programs that obviously will be different per student. In this case, this is where they'll access, for example, the information when it comes to SWAN math, and in this case as well as far as so I don't think I'll be able to access because I don't have an account associated with my information. So that's the reason why it comes up like that. But for many of our students or families, we want to let you know too, when you're on the apps portal, there's a way you could check right here, My Analytics. So for many of our families who want to know how often students are using their programs, if it's like Swun Math and iReady and that are associated to your account, if you go to the apps portal and you have them click the My Analytics, you're able to see how often they're using their programs as well, just as a tip for you. So once again, many of our families, when you're here in the website, let's say once again you're at Allison Elementary School, you click on the apps portal right here, and then that way you'll be able to access the information that we have. That is the quickest way many of our students are able to access the app through their assignments. They're also, if they open up their Chromebook, obviously that information is already there as a button. They click on it and it opens it up quickly. We have information about how to access the apps portal. We have it in a variety of different languages, and I'll share those as well via the chat and also as a follow-up email to many of our families. So I think that's just really quickly about how students access information for here at Twin Rivers. And then I will send some links as far as the apps for Swan Math for the links. I think I already shared one for Google Play. But that's just a quick way on accessing the information. And typically, and so for their student ID account, it is usually a 9-digit number at twinriversusd.org, and then they should be able to know their password. If they have issues logging into the account, we recommend them to talk to their teachers as far as resetting the password. And if not, I'll send you the information on the tech support line as well if needed. So with that, I'll stop screen sharing on my end, and then we could go into some of the information from the website from Swan Math.
Thank you, Heriberto. Yes. So once you're able to access the Swun Math website, you will be able to share with you guys a couple of things here. Let me go ahead and share my screen. If you have a scholar who is in kindergarten or first grade and they can benefit from just number recognition, they can go where it says Subatize. But for now, let's take a look at facts. The great thing about this part of the website is that you have complete control as to what are the skills you want your student to practice. If your student is in a certain grade level that requires addition, you can click on addition and you can practice addition facts. Likewise, if you want them to practice subtraction, you click on subtraction, it'll be subtraction facts. Multiplication facts, and division facts. One of the great things is that you can also choose the range of families that you want to work with, whether you want to start at the 2s and build your way to the 9s, the single digits. You can practice all of these facts. And if you are practicing addition or multiplication, you're practicing something called the commutative property, which it just says that you can add or multiply in any order. So for example, you see here, it's highlighted in a purple color and a yellow color. You're simply going to just copy over the add-ins in different or in the mixed order. So if you start with 2 plus 3, you want to go with 3 plus 2 and include the answer, which is 5. Okay, so you have to practice the commutative property as you are adding the numbers through addition or multiplication. Likewise, multiplication, you're practicing the commutative property. So you're multiplying the factors in any order. So 2 times 6, the same thing as 6 times 2, which equals to 12. When you're practicing subtraction and division, you're practicing using the facts family. So it gives you the addition to relate to subtraction, and it'll give you the multiplication to relate to division. In the pink box just goes the sum, or we call it the minuend, which is the starting number, so it's 5. And then in the secondary box, you're going to basically be alternating the two add-ins. So 5 minus 3 is 2, or 5 minus 2 is 3. Likewise, in division, again, you're going to start off with your dividend, which is the answer to the multiplication problem, which is 4 here. And then you're going to divide one of the factors, and then you're going to have the quotient be one of the other factors. So 2 and 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. That was a pretty bad example because there's the same number. So here's a better example. So 8 divided by 4 is 2, or 8 divided by 2 is 4. So that's basically what they're going to be practicing. And this is there for them to be able to just have that number recognition, be able to commit these facts to memory, because again, whatever they learn here, they're going to be able to take this to the next level, right? If they can multiply single digits, they can multiply fractions. If they can divide single digits, they can divide decimals. So it's all going to be just built from these basic facts, these facts that they're learning to do beyond the basic facts or the facts practice. Now, if they're struggling with some of the homework assignments, that's when the videos come into play. These videos are assigned by the teachers and they're given to you as a URL. All you basically do is click on that hyperlink. It'll bring you to these videos, and you have this great instruction that comes from a math coach. So I'll play you an example right now.
It's math time with me, multiplication. This is what we're going to learn today. Let's get started. Problem of the day. Your teacher will show you a problem and have you do one just like it.
Problem of the day is a part of the
resume
lesson
when you're
design that is done in the classroom, but the part that you want to focus on
Let's look
is
at
from the lesson
important words
opener
and
and the
ideas for
input
today's
model,
lesson.
where it's really going to share with you how to solve this problem and what are the
Let's
skills that they
review
need
today's objectives.
to solve
It
these
says,
problems.
today I will add or subtract by using the place value strategy, friendly number strategy, or the draw a picture strategy. Our first vocabulary term is place value strategy. Here we have an addition problem. 349 plus 213. First,
Now I chose a third grade problem because that's kind of in the middle of everything, but it all depends whether you have a 5th grade student, a 6th grade student, middle schooler, or a kindergartner. The videos are built to be able to support your kids with the skills and strategies taught at your grade level, which includes a lesson opener where we review the vocabulary, the objective, and the steps. And then you get to something called an input model, which is where the teacher is the coach showing you how to solve these problems.
watch me solve a problem. Listen to my thinking. Think about why my work makes sense. Let's begin our first input model. Here we have the problem 438 plus 152. I will use the place value strategy to solve this problem. Step 1 is to decompose the addends into hundreds, tens, and ones. So I will first draw my place value chart.
So it
Here
breaks
are
down the
charts separated
strategy.
into
It goes
hundreds,
through
tens,
step
and
by
ones.
step by
Now
step
we
on
can
how to
decompose
solve
our
these
addends.
problems.
438 can be written as
I'm not going to show you the
400
entire video, but you get the gist of this. It breaks it down. It goes through each step at a time, so that when your students go home, they have something to reference before they actually do their homework assignments. And the great thing about these videos, they're no more than about 15 minutes long. So they can watch the video and then they can do their homework assignments. So as you can see, there's a lot of resources that are provided for you guys through swunmath.com to help make the bridge between the home and the classroom together.